starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to the Jehovah Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cal.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? Shows this with the mostest, holding that fire like a roach, clip your noggin, your nerve, fresh off of that curve, jelly jamming, preserve. Hey, usually I, let some music play or something, man, but something just skipped across my desk real quick, as as one of Jehovah's journalists. You know what I mean? This one kind of hit home right here, man. Rest in peace. And salutations and condolences to the family of the rapper Too Short, man. His brother just got killed. Let's check this out.
Story tonight, the killing of the brother of rapper Too Short. Someone shot and killed him during an attempted robbery of a building in East Oakland. NBC Bay Area's Valina Jones has been tracking the story all day. She's got details about what happened.
OPD received several calls at around 0700 hours of a ShotSpotter activation and several 911 calls.
Tonight, OPD investigators are combing over evidence and searching for the people responsible for shooting and killing a man in an attempted robbery turned deadly. Investigators say around 7 this morning, multiple suspects tried to ram a car into an industrial building on 49th Avenue near East 12th Street.
The suspects arrived to the location. They attempted to force their way into the property. While they were attempting their way in, the victim stepped out, was confronted by the suspects, and the suspects fired several rounds at the victim.
The victim is rapper Too Short's older brother. Police confirmed his identity as 61-year-old Wayne Shaw. Police say Shaw was shot multiple times and transported to a nearby hospital where he died. Investigators do not know if he was targeted or if the robbery was random. Too Short grew up in Oakland and is known as a pioneer of West Coast hip-hop. He began his recording career in the 80s. The city named a street after him in East Oakland back in 2022. Too Short has not publicly said anything about his brother's death. Police say the suspects got away in an unknown vehicle. Investigators are looking into the building that was targeted and Shaw's connection to the property. In Oakland, Valina Jones, NBC Bay Area News.
But enough about us. Without
Man, just wanted to share that. You dig what I'm saying, man? Condolences to that boy Too Short and his family, man. You dig what I'm saying? That's a horrible thing to happen to you and your fam, man. That's as much as understanding the light of Jehovah, you dig what I'm talking about, and what's gonna happen after you die, man. That don't take the sting out of it none. You dig what I'm saying? That don't make it hurt no less. Let's go.
Yeah, I feel good right now. The atmospheric, green skies, the gang coming. I be in and out, so leave that thing running. Purified is preferred. Higher frequency, a higher verb. I observe on a different nerve. Breaking codes, I am the yoga. Deadly as a Ruger. straight and the shooter. Out the holster with this mudra, inoculation with the wisdom. Creator shape my prism and hit them with no schisms. Perfect. Read and turn the light up. Y'all disappointing like 9 to 5 and some write-ups. Something rearranged, let that boy cook. Organization 33, stay up in them books. Lead them boys shook. 46 divided, yeah, I'm Fort Michael. It was only rifle that I came up in this cycle. They say they gangsters, but they telling it. Step outside, take off my shoes and let the sun hit my melon. Had to relearn that the herb beat the medicine. It's the same matrix. So
Who you think you better than? Raj, y'all. Blue shoe on the beat. You dig what I'm saying? Hey, we just gonna fire into this one. This is Jehovah Chronicles number 209, man. This is odd. I'm not even gonna sit here in front. As y'all see, the topic for today was slavery in the 1960s. Yeah, I didn't stutter. The 1960s. This is so astounding. You dig what I'm talking about? This just blows my mind. And it's hard to believe. You dig what I'm saying? Especially now that I've done my genealogy. You dig what I'm talking about? I found out that many of those so-called slave narratives were false and fake, and that I ain't even got a slave in my family. And many people are finding that to be true once they do the genealogical work for themselves. But you dig what I'm saying? That takes us, for most men or people, period, once they figure out something is false or it wasn't what they've been telling us it was, you dig what I'm saying? They, they instantly don't want to hear nothing. You dig what I'm talking about? At one point where they believed everything, now they don't believe nothing. You dig what I'm talking about? They having these extremes of logic. You dig what I'm saying? Or results of cognitive dissonance because what they thought they knew, they weren't. For instance, like many of us were told we were Africans only to do our genealogy, find out that we were American Indian. You dig what I'm talking about? We were told we were slaves. Can't find no slaves in your genealogy. So man readily kind of goes up as he goes down, and he goes through these, extremes of belief and disbelief, and you know what I mean? Because, they found out, many people found out they didn't have no slaves in their family. Now they want to say, oh, so all slavery ain't real. That's just silly. You dig what I'm talking about? But that's what we come to, and it kind of remind me of something. In Owaspy, hold on, give me a second. I'm sharp with this thing. I think it's Book of Osir. No, let me remember. Not Osir. It's Thor. Hold on, let me get to it. Run. Let me see. Is this the right one? I think this is the right one. Yup. Book of Thor, 6 and 4. Let me share this with y'all. Book of Thor, 6 and 4. Quick fast. It says, the creator said, all corporeal worlds, all worlds, earths like ours, pass through an age of too much belief. Where they believe every damn thing. And as I gave man judgment so that he could examine and weigh a matter, so does he run into unbelief. Then my angels go to him and show him where he believed too little. But lo, he goes to the other extreme, believing all things and not using his judgment. And that's what we find ourselves in today. Many people are finding this slavery thing to not be in their family, so they run all the way to the other extreme. You dig what I'm talking about? Totally bypassing that other people could have been enslaved, or that the slave narrative was real, but it was just uh, applied to you when actually other people were going into it. And once you understand that the word slave is the extended or state of Slavicness, you dig what I'm talking about? You start to learn out where this whole slave thing come from. And but the even deeper part is who inspires it, right? So that'll, and then is slavery a good thing? Is peonage a good thing? Is in a indenture? Because mind you, peonage, indenture, and slavery are the same thing, just with different names on them. They have no different connotation whatsoever. Right? They say, God said, why will men and angels not be patient and wait till a matter is proven meritorious before they pursue it to extreme? So I showed this when I ran across it a few days ago. Well, uh, about slavery in the 1960s. It was hard for me to wrap my mind around because just like everybody else, I had always been told that slavery was abolished in 1865 by your boy Lincoln. You dig what I'm talking about? And I got to give a shout out to History with No Chaser. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all go over there, subscribe, share, and like. They always be, they have a little spin on it. You know what I mean? A little extra victimization on it. You dig what I'm talking about with the slave narrative all the time, but sometimes they on point. You dig what I'm talking about? And to act like this didn't happen to some people, not saying all people, but to some people, you dig what I'm talking about, is just it's asinine to act like slavery never happened nowhere. What you're gonna find out is, for many of us, we thought we was the slaves. You're gonna find out, in fact, that many of your people are the slave owners. That's the change we coming to and understanding. So if that can be a truth, well then slavery in the 1960s could also be true. Now I haven't gone through and watched this whole thing, but I watched a little bit of it. But I wanted to show y'all, so y'all see it at the same time I see it. You dig what I'm saying? And this is astounding, man. Listen to these stories. The 1960s, slavery, this stuff sounds unbelievable. Watch this, y'all. This is crazy. This is crazy. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
No chase on me, no chase on me, no chase on me, no chase. Message.
I don't know what would you call it, but
Check
something like a
this out, y'all.
plantation.
Y'all
To
not
me,
gonna believe
it
it.
belonged to several different white people. They all was
Hold
family, I
on.
guess.
I gotta run it back, right? This the video that they didn't put together. America still had slaves in the 1960s, right? I wanted to show y'all this because this is hard to believe. Check this man's story. Now, we know about COINTELPRO, CIA, and all that stuff, but one thing I am is a good detector of bullshit. Excuse my French. I have what is called a discerning heart. I'm able to tell the real from the fake. I can smell it. You dig what I'm talking about? They ain't even got to say nothing around me. And one thing I don't get from this man is that he's lying. I don't get the liar vibe. You dig what I'm saying? But y'all take it in for yourself, man. Watch this. This stuff is amazing. The video's a little long. I'm going to probably run through some parts. You dig what I'm talking about? Stop and start. You dig what I'm saying? But we going to keep cooking. And I'm going to just let it cook. Watch.
I don't know what would you call it, but something like a plantation to me. It belonged to several different white people. They all was family, I guess. And you couldn't leave. And if you did leave, they either come get you or have somebody kill you, whatever. That's what happened. They did my mama bad.
What they do to your mother?
They just had my mother, the white men. They just do what they want to do with her. And I just wasn't big enough to do nothing. If I would have been, I don't know, probably wouldn't be.
And this was in the 1950s or 40s?
That was on through the 40s and the 50s, all through the 50s, and 40s to 60s.
So what would the repercussions be if you tried to leave or if you tried to refuse what they wanted?
Back in them days, it was kind of like you had to do what the white man said or get killed.
The 40s, 50s, 60s, what are y'all talking about? Huh? Now, mind you, they in a little backwood town I think in Louisiana. This is the 1960s. What? This is hard to believe. Shout out to Yafa supporting the channel. First person to support the channel today. Love, life, balance. Y'all know what it do. Y'all support the channel. Love, life, balance. We cooking. Let's get back to cooking. I just wanted to, this is the 1940s, 50s, 60s, y'all. You dig what I'm talking about? Dig this, man. This is crazy.
Right here on American soil in this great country, we still had slavery going on during the 1960s.
What?
You see, oftentimes white America act as if slavery was so long ago. Okay, let's go that route, right? Slavery was quite some time ago. If we want to talk about the 1800s, yes, of course.
America was founded when a group of Protestant Christians fleeing religious persecution in Europe made the harrowing journey across the Atlantic Ocean and landed at Plymouth Rock. These pilgrims had a feast with the Indians to celebrate their cooperation, and that became the holiday of Thanksgiving.
For everybody who coming in late, you dig what I'm talking about? Coming in late, this is what white America has to say about the story, right? This is not what Cosmon is saying. You dig what I'm saying? They're just showing during the document the ideal of white America, not that I'm pushing for this ideal, because they'll hate on you like that too.
Over the next few decades, several other British colonies were founded on the American continent, and in 1776, they all declared their independence from the king over the issue of taxation without representation. After the Revolutionary War had been won, the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution, a freedom-loving liberty document which guaranteed that all men were created equal. There's one glaring hypocrisy with that statement, though, the fact that slavery existed in America. How could the Founding Fathers believe in equality while many of them were also slave owners? Well, many of them knew that this peculiar institution was morally wrong and thought that the practice would naturally die out on its own. But just to be sure, they put a clause in the Constitution saying that the importation of new slaves would end in 1808. It's a common misconception that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, but the Emancipation Proclamation only applied to areas in active rebellion, meaning the Confederate States. There was no way to enforce that without invading, and the northern slave states were unaffected, so this didn't really do much. In reality, it wasn't the Great Emancipator, but the 13th Amendment, ratified 8 months after his assassination, that abolished slavery. After Reconstruction ended, though, things got pretty dark pretty fast. Within a decade, black codes had been passed in every southern state, and many of them required literacy tests and poll taxes to vote. This is the beginning of Jim Crow, an era where black people had to sit at the back of the bus and drink out of separate water fountains. They even had separate schools for white kids and black kids. That lasted until 1954, when the Supreme Court decided to desegregate public schools with the Brown v. Board of Education decision. This began the civil rights movement, which gave rise to leaders like Martin Luther King, who said we should judge each other not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. With the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Jim Crow and segregation were over, and America had finally swept away the
Pay attention to
last
the top.
vestiges.
This is what white America says. White America says they're giving you their view on it.
Of racism in the country. We even elected a black man as president. Twice. So the next time someone tells you that America is a racist country with racism in our DNA, hopefully now you'll know better.
Move this man!
What about mass incarceration?
Message.
What about the crack era?
Message.
The war on drugs?
Message.
Make sure you go back and watch those videos. Nobody pushed the opioid crisis on the white community.
Message.
During the crack era, crack was pushed on us and they took the jobs.
Message.
On top of that, when you talk about mass incarceration, laws were passed that completely eliminated any type of judge's discretion. I mean, there's tons of things to name.
Growing up, were you fully aware, this is in the 40s and 50s, you know, the civil rights movement is just about to begin. Were you aware of what was going on in the rest of the country at that time for black people pursuing freedom?
No.
You weren't aware at all that there was any pursuits for freedom in the 40s and 50s for us?
No, not really.
Have you heard about Mae Louise Miller? Well, this woman was enslaved during the 1960s.
Message.
Listen to this, man. It's crazy.
We didn't have no clothes to wear. We didn't have no shoes. We didn't have food to eat. We didn't have a bed to sleep in.
Now, I got to say man, I'm not saying that this can't happen and this didn't happen, but I'm not gonna say that this was the norm for the melanated person in the Americas in the 1940s, 50s, 60s. It was not. This is abnormal. This is not correct. This ain't what was popping, right? But in these small rural pockets in America, in these sundown towns and all these places, how would you know? And then you in cahoots with the police and the sheriff. You dig what I'm talking about? Who are usually parts of other different clandestine groups, to say the least. where you gonna go? You dig what I'm talking about? And it be coming down to people just gotta run away. You dig what I'm talking about? But they catch people, you know? Now, I'm not saying this happened to everybody because ain't none of this happened in my family. Not a lick of it. But I'm not sure how I feel about what she about to say. And it's so graphic. I don't even know if I want to play it. I got ladies and young children, and people who listen to my show, and I don't want them to think that I would ever back any of this. But we also can't be afraid to look at historical narratives dead in their mouth, right? Because somebody could be lying and getting away with something and hiding something, and you just too afraid to look at it. You dig what I'm saying? So, with that being said, I'm gonna let this lady, y'all look this lady up. I think she passed away in like 2009, 70 something, and 80 something, and you know, she was enslaved in the 1960s. So she say. You dig what I'm talking about? Listen, this ain't normal, y'all, but let's not act like it couldn't happen. We know when they ain't make it all up, right? It's many times just who is being enslaved. So to see it happen to our people, man, it is shocking, man. And to understand that a lot of that stuff didn't happen that way, and to now see that it was still happening just under a different name in the 1960s. See, they didn't call it slavery. What they were under would be called peonage. So it's crazy. But just check it out. I'm gonna let it cook.
Didn't have a house to live in. We slept on the grass or the dirt or the hay. Pulled the hay over on top of us for our cover. We had a croquet sack for our clothing, which was a one piece. That was it. It cut a hole in each arm, a hole in the neck, and that was your glove. The men and the women.
May's father, Kane Wall, lost his farmland after he signed a contract that he could not read. This right here put him in debt to other plantation owners who was about to take advantage of him. The Wall family was forced to do field work and housework for several white families who attended the same church on the Louisiana-Mississippi border. The Wall family was not permitted to leave the land. They were illiterate, and they were also under the impression that all black people were being treated the same.
We called what we ate, and we ate what we got. It was from the stales to the worms, from the worm to bird eggs, from bird eggs to birds, crickets, rabbits, snakes. We took bites, you know. We just ate. What? People saying that you can't eat raw this, you can't eat raw that. Oh, man. When you see survivors on television, that's just a sample. We are the survivors. Every once in a while, we did get a meal, what they call a meal, but it was the food that they had raked from the tables Or maybe about a month, they would break it all in a tub or big old thing, and they set it out on the tree. And for calling you later, it's time for you to eat. When we didn't really know what a spoon and a fork was, it was over in the 60s. We ate we laid like dogs, and we ate like a hog. We ate with our head, with our mouth in the pots, or dipped it with our hands.
And when they received their food, it was all thrown together like slop. Animals were treated better than them. May spoke about starting at the age of 5 years old, she was repeatedly the R word that rhymes with tape, along with her mother. Several.
Now, it's about to get a little explicit, ladies. If this is a little something that, if it's a little too heavy for you this morning, I understand. But she is about to explain what happened to her and her mother. So if you got kids or children around, you know what I mean, this give you a time to cut the TV off, move around, put your headphones on, or whatever you want to do. Make sure you hit that button. It's free. Don't cost you nothing to thumb up the video. You dig what I'm saying? But I want to give y'all a chance to make sure that y'all settled in. You buckled in this morning. It's not an easy thing to hear. I cut it off right here, and I understand if you did too, but we gotta face this. There's something that just can't. In the 1960s. Come on, man. If this could slide by you, you dig what I'm talking about? What else didn't we see? They did a whole bunch of stuff. Huh?
Men and whatever men were present at the time all got a turn on her and her mom. She stated that they've always wanted to run away, but they thought everybody were in the same predicament. And also, they thought, where would they run to?
And he said, Lord, I just can't take it no more. I got to go. My dad said he was going down through the woods and he came up on the side of the bank. Here come two white men. They were riding in the truck. Oh, T-Mom or something. He said, oh boy, what's something happened to you? And he says, oh, I've been beat, but I got to go. I got a wife, 7 children back there. So but I can't take it no more. This is irritating. Come on, boy. We got something for you. Come on. Get in this truck. Lay down. We gonna take you to a place named Jackson, Mississippi. They is enrolling people. And Uncle Sam there. My dad said he was so relieved. He didn't know what Uncle Sam there was. He was so relieved. He didn't know what to do. They laid him back up and said, and he stopped to get up, boy. You here now. He said, got up with the blood rolling off of him. Happy he made that when he. And they said, called a man and said, come here. One of the leaders of the place. So here this boy here. We brought him back to you. He told us he came from here. And he was trying to run away. But here he is back. And my daddy said, they beat him and beat him and beat him and beat him dead. From sun up to sundown, and all he did was work. They killed people in front of our face. We seen them hanging from the tree. We seen them take babies, cut them in little bit of pieces, put them in their sack, go fishing with them. Seen them kill my auntie, chopped her up in pieces. And he also made my uncle dig his own grave.
That's it. The Wall family obtained their freedom in 1961, which is sometimes inaccurately given as 1962 or 1963.
Wait a minute, Joe.
At the age of 18.
Wait a minute. Now, if this is your first time hearing that they had people enslaved in the 1960s, hit me with a 1 in the chat. If this is new to you, right? Did they still have people enslaved in the 1960s? Hit me with a 1 in the chat. Now, it's not beyond belief. You dig what I'm talking about? I don't put no evil beyond these people, man, but to see it, to know that, that's just a couple years before I was born. You dig what I'm talking about? 1960, that's a little less than 20 years before I was born. Sheesh. I didn't know about this, y'all. I knew slavery and I knew it could exist under the disenfranchisement of the Negro in America, or what they call Jim Crow and all that. But dog, to see it, to know somebody who lived through it, right? It say, let's read this. It says, the Wall family history. May and Arthur were sharecroppers in Gillsburg, Mississippi. At the end of the crop year, they were told they didn't make enough money to pay for seeds, tools, and other items. Each year, they went deeper in debt and couldn't leave the plantation. Involuntary servitude and peonage were the systems in which the family was enslaved. Right? So they just changed the name. The function stayed the same. Y'all see it? Let's go.
May refused to do housework for another family in Kentwood, Louisiana. She ran away after the owner threatened to kill her. She said she remembered thinking that they just gonna have to kill me today because I'm not doing this anymore. Smithsonian's Institution historian Pete Daniel noted that white people from that area held blacks down, and they weren't afraid to use their power. They were brutal. Another historian, Antoinette Harrell,
hold on, what'd that say?
Said they weren't afraid to use their power.
It said whether peonage in the South grew out of slavery as an unavoidable interlude between bondage and freedom, or whether employers distorted laws and customs to create debt servitude, most Southerners quietly accepted peonage. But when you understand that these Southerners that accepted peonage, many of them look like this brother here and not like the sister that we see in a lot of the stories. You dig what I'm talking about? Anybody could be enslaved. It didn't have nothing to do with skin color, right? I might delve a little bit, you know what I mean, into white slavery today. You dig what I'm talking about? Or come back on another show and show y'all about what was really going on with the Slavic people in slavery in the 1800s, 1700s, right? Even the early 1900s. You gotta remember, they had to get a whole war machine, a Department of Defense to try to fuck with you. They'll mess with you over here. The Aboriginal. Anguigan. Huh? Algonquin. Yeah. You never laid down, y'all. It's one thing I can't say about you. Good old fighting Ahuans.
They were brutal. Another historian, Antoinette Harrell, said in many of these districts, the sheriff had worked with the local community.
Listen.
All in cahoots to keep people in captivity. 100%. May said that she had no idea what she was going through was actually illegal.
Yes. That's exactly what it's about. It's about that. You got to understand slavery, indenture, peonage is about work. It's about a job. Remember, they still had to pull in money. They was just at the end of the day through coercion and stuff being told, now it costs $5,000. You owe me $5,000. You only produced $2,000, so now you $3,000 in the hole. Right? They kept working it like that. Some people could get out of that. Some people could. It makes sense. It's not a far stretch. You dig what I'm saying? Especially when you know that this is actually happening to people. You dig what I'm talking about? I don't gotta guess if this happened. It didn't happen to my family, but did it nonetheless happen? And it's shocking. 1960s. This woman was still living in the 2000s. She's talking in the 2000s.
She stated that the Wall family's world was confined from one plantation to the other. They'll trade you off. They'll come back to get you one day and on to the next day. Annie Wall recounted that the plantation owner said, "You better not tell anybody, because we'll kill you. We'll kill all you niggas."
Imagine you and your family living in this barn, forced to live like animals and with animals. No heat, no electricity, none of the things we commonly take for granted.
This is where it's just tough to believe. I ain't gonna front, man. This is how I know Creator birthed me at the right time. I couldn't have lived during this. Not in these conditions, not Cosmo. Impossible. You dig what I'm talking about? I don't know. I don't know. You dig what I'm saying? It's hard for me to see myself in this state, right? To understand it, to know that none of my people was in this state. You dig what I'm talking about? None of them. At the time we were supposed to be enslaved, we was the landowners, plantation owners, growers, farmers, whatever it was, we was doing it, and we was on our own land. Not no slaves. So as far back as I can document that we've been owning land in the 1700s. We got head rights. I got people who was in the American Revolution who got head rights. Indians. You dig what I'm saying? From here. Whose daddy's daddy was born here. So you dig what I'm saying? It get a little deep. It's hard for me to see myself in this type of situation. You dig what I'm saying? But that's the thing about empathizing. You dig what I'm saying? It's being able to see it from another person's point of view. It's not about you. You got to get out your own way sometimes. And just because it didn't happen to you, don't mean it didn't happen.
This is the case of one family, held as slaves up until the 1960s. We found this barn at Grange Hall Road and MS Highway 568 near Vicksburg, Mississippi in July 2009.
We really didn't have much of nothing. And the clothes we had was a cocoa sack. Each one of us had a cocoa sack with 3 holes cut in it, and that was your clothes. Your shirt, pants, and underclothes, or whatever you want to call it, dress.
Just our first impressions. Just our first impressions. Do y'all think this woman is lying? If y'all think she lying, hit me with a 2 in the chat. If y'all think she lying, she putting 2 on the 10. You dig what I'm talking about? She done stepped on the dope. If you think she lying, hit me with a 2 in the chat. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I don't get that. And I'm looking for it. I've been, and you know what, I'm looking. I don't get that vibe that she's telling me a lie. You dig what I'm talking about? Ain't no way. You see what I'm saying? I don't feel that. So you gotta kind of take some things at face value. You dig what I'm talking about? Like I said, just because you didn't see it, don't mean it ain't real. Right? Just because it didn't happen to your folks, right? Doesn't mean it didn't happen to somebody, somewhere. It's too prevalent. Slavery, everybody was enslaved. Everybody got enslaved. It may not have been you, right? And your family, they may have got lucky and was able to stay up out that for whatever reason it was. But it's some people who people didn't. It's certain people who had legitimate families who were never slaves, but they went out and got enslaved, indentured, peonaged, caught a petty crime, and became a 13th, 14th Amendment slave. Y'all know the 13th, 14th Amendment kept slavery alive. It didn't end it. It kept it alive if you committed a crime. That kept you in a point of slavery. There ain't no way she lying. I'm not gonna say it ain't no way. I ain't putting nothing past nobody. Y'all know how I am about it. But I don't get that. Just being real, I don't get that.
We had no shoes. We were just kind of like Tarzan. Whatever that come in front of you, that was your meal, if you caught it. And that was motto.
The following video contains strong sexual content. Viewer discretion is advised.
They would bring my mother to the house. And when they bring my mother to the house, one of us would have to go with my mother. So the master said. And so this was the particular time that I had to go with my mom. So they raped my mom. And when it came to me, I was sitting there crying because, when you don't know what's going on, I was sitting up there crying in this. And so the lady said, they coming to me. So the master's wife said to him, and the other brothers or whoever they were, and she said, and they was sort of looking, and she said, oh no, honey, no. And she says, she's not even a heifer yet. I didn't learn what that word was till over in the 70s. And she said, she's not even a heifer yet. She's just a yearling. You can't. But they gagged my mouth, and they raped me just like they did my mama. And there I was laying in that pile of blood, a little bit of girl, didn't know what to do. And his wife had to clean me up. But that never stopped. And I remember telling my mom, if you go tell that old nigger what happened here today, we's gonna kill everybody.
Huh. Said there were hundreds of similar cases. That's crazy.
Message.
Well, as I moved around the state of Louisiana and Mississippi and listened to other people talk about their family history, I soon learned there was a hidden secret in America. What was this secret? What's not in the textbooks that most people who go to Harvard University and other Ivy League colleges wasn't taught? The second coming of slavery. And some books that say it was called worse than slavery.
Remember, Christ came over here to destroy the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Incas. You dig what I'm talking about? Many of us got them direct roots in it, so they would have been banging on us from back in the days, from contact. You dig what I'm talking about? You may have been of that stock. You dig what I'm talking about? But living all the way up in Mississippi, Tennessee. You dig what I'm talking about? Of that Mississippian stock that went on to birth all them people. You dig what I'm talking about? You much later in time than the original Algonquin, Ahuan mound builder types or the megalithic builder types. They had been gone. You dig what I'm talking about? You had the modern man. You dig what I'm saying? And there were large individuals, just big niggas. You know what I mean? 8-footers. You dig what I'm talking about? 9-footers, 7-footers running around everywhere in America. Everywhere. You dig what I'm saying? At one time, with modern man. So, at a point, God said, I'm going to step back. And it's going to be that Christ is going to destroy these people. And he going to war against them. So if you would have had that genetic stock in you, you'd have been doing what they would have been doing to any remnant of praising the Great Spirit in the Americas. Christ and let's not forget Buddha, Brahma, they was here too. You dig what I'm talking about? Under different names. Like a lot of people don't understand Christ, Luamong, had already been to the Americas. He is the one who inspired directly Christ, the Christian. This is why he's carrying the cross and all that. Quetzalcoatl, circa 250 BC. This 250 BC, 250 years before the quote unquote Jeebus was supposed to be around. He already in America, inspiring Quetzalcoatl, which in the end of the day led to some old savagery, and you dig what I'm saying? But I think the story gets blown out of proportion like he was this god. I think he was a nigga who came from Europe on a boat. He was a prophet. You did what I'm saying. He had that power with him, but then remember, it's them same angelic beings that's working with him that end up setting him up to get killed, because that's what happens to all of them. They have to die ignominiously to lock the doctrine into place. And just so happened, ain't it funny that all these great so-called prophets, especially the ones that come before Jesus, right? Every single one of them are locking in a Father, Son, Holy Ghost doctrine. Same thing with Quetzalcoatl. So yeah, they have been wearing. This is why you start dying out. This is around the 1800s. They talking about 1880s, 1890s, talking about the last of the Aztecs, last of the Incas. You dig what I'm talking about? Because they had breeded people out, warred people out. And then you got to think about people don't. You got to ask questions. How do you even know these people is here? Huh? It can't be all by mistake. Right? It can't just all be dumb luck. So yeah, they banged you out of many of us out of existence with that Christian doctrine, because that's, people don't know that's what they came with. But that's just what it was. That's just what it was. But now we can look back upon it and track these times. Look at this stuff. You dig what I'm saying? Learn lessons from it. You dig what I'm talking about? And pick and choose what applies to you and take that into your life. Don't let nobody pigeonhole you into their narrative, especially if it ain't your narrative. But the first thing you got to go do is go check your narrative. You got to do your genealogy. You got to find out who you is. You got to talk to somebody. Figure out who you is. That DNA don't work. See, DNA doesn't do what you need it to do. You trying to find ethnicity, heritage, culture, nationality. And DNA does everything but find heritage, culture, ethnicity, and nationality. It do everything but what you need it to do. Your genealogy does those things. You gonna find out you from America, been from America, and ain't never went nowhere. Right? You may have had some people that travel up from the Caribbean, but that's even rare. You're gonna find out you was right here, never went nowhere.
What could be worse than slavery? Well, in slavery as chattel property, they had a reason to protect their property, feed their property, clothe their property. But when slavery was abolished, it had a different look. And I want to take you down that road. Message. It's a part of my history, and it's a part of the history that makes America what it is. Let's take that journey. What's not in the history books? The untold history of involuntary servitude, which was another name for slavery, because no one volunteered to go back in slavery. When did slavery end in America? Like most people, I learned that it ended in 1863. Right. But I learned differently. 1863, 1865, as Juneteenth approaches in Galveston, Texas, is saying we're about to celebrate our history of freedom. The Gullah Geechees in South Carolina told me 2 weeks ago, April the 2nd, we got our freedom in 1865. 1944, 1963, in the height of the Civil Rights Movement. What are we talking about? People still being in slavery. Message! 1973, 2000. Did I miss something? 1973, 2000? I can only imagine my ancestors just rejoicing and being so happy that they are free, and that they probably danced and cried and became emotional probably for 24 hours and then realized, where am I going to go? We have no food. We have nowhere to go. We have no clothes. We have elderly people with us. We have disabled people with us. What are we going to do? So, as President Abraham Lincoln said, well, we would devise a new contract called the Freedmen Bureau contracts. And I do believe in my research that they didn't make their X. If you can make an X, you can make an A. You can write an A, you can write a B. Even the X was forged, forcing children as young as 5 years old to work on these plantations for the remainder of their life, unless they ran away and found freedom. I took the plane and I went to Washington, D.C. to the National Archives and looked in the classification record group 50 and 60. So I'm sitting there reading these documents and the tears is flowing down my eyes because I couldn't believe what I was reading. What do you mean the new coming of slavery? They told us we was free. I soon learned it was on paper.
Message.
The cases that I found revealed that slavery exists in 20 states. How do I know? The records that I'm going to introduce you to will tell you that slavery exists in 20 states. The states that I cover, Louisiana, Mississippi, because that's where my ancestors was in these states here. May and Arthur is still living. We lost May. And she was the modern day Harriet Tubman because she said, they can't do to me what they haven't already done.
Message.
At least if I'ma die, let me die free.
Message.
I'ma tell it.
Message.
And we held hands. Now let's tell it together, her freedom. The time that I spent with May, listening to our story, and how they had to eat birds, and we can't even imagine trying to eat a little robin or bird eggs just to have food to eat. And I remember one day I wanted to drive to this place called Gilbert, Mississippi. I was frightened just driving there because it feels like the hair on my arm was standing up because, I had to just go instinctively as to where am I? These places that most of those that was enslaved was in isolated communities. Off the main highway, down those dusty roads, no trespassing signs. This is how they was kept enslaved. The Wall family consists of a father, mother, and 7 children. The 5 older children was the ones that was held enslaved. May and Arthur were sharecroppers in Gilbert, Mississippi. At the end of crop year, they was told they didn't make money for the pay. They didn't make enough money to pay for the seeds, the tools, and other items. Each year, like most of the people that was enslaved, try next year, you may do a little better and you can pay off your debt. They never could pay off their debt. First of all, who was going to challenge them? Who was going to challenge the sheriff, the judge, the business owners, the rich farmers? You dare not question them. As May tell it, and this is what she told ABC Nightline, she spent her youth in Mississippi as a slave, picking cotton, pulling corn, picking peas, picking butter beans, picking string beans, digging potatoes.
Now the crazy part is
that's what
we did all this stuff for our families. All the same stuff because my family had cotton fields and we grew our own food and wheat and corn and all that stuff. You dig what I'm saying? So the same job you would have been doing as just the regular family member, you dig what I'm talking about? These are the same things that have been tied into the work being done in slavery. And it's just, you know what? That just reminded me of something. This is how my brain works. Watch this. The etymology of the word slave has family in it. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this, y'all. Etymology of the word slave. Let me pull it up in Etymon online. Hold on, I can't see. What's this? Let me pull this up. All right. Slow. My computer going slow. Damn. The word slave got a direct tie in 1785 under Negro, a blackamoor figuratively used for a slave without regard to race. See? Hold on. Let me show you. Look. It's servants. What I say? Slave? Same thing. But look, the word family, right? The word family directly ties you into being a servant. So this is why head of household on your tax sheets is so important about who is head of household, because head of household is in a sense the master, and the first people who are his servants are his family, right? So early 15th century, this in the 1400s, servants of a household, family servants, domestic, collectively servants in a household. Thus, members of a household, family, right? The estate, the property, household, including relatives and servants. Look, abstract noun formed from famulus, or servant slave. These people, your family members. So even when you do see somebody in your family, notice this, they're in your familial line. You got the same last name. Y'all stay in the same house, right? With your mama or your great-great-grandmama, whoever it was. Y'all got the same name, but it say y'all slaves. First of all, slaves don't get names, so how are you on there? What you end up finding out is people were indenturing their families, right? This is how the word family takes a whole new connotation now, but at the time, it was talking about servants, servants of a household, la familia. Servants of a household. You dig what I'm talking about? Including relatives. So Big Daddy owned, you dig what I'm talking about? In a sense, his family. And that's the system we was working under. We agreed to. You know what I mean? An indenture didn't always work to where somebody was doing some shady shit, some shady stuff, and you keeping them forever. Most time you was teaching. You know what I mean? He got paid off and a boom, boom, and it worked like that. He go out, set his own business up, getting his own students' indentures. You dig what I'm talking about? Just like this brother had for 7 years of service or whatever it is. It's a job, right? But let's get back, see what they talk.
You did for no money at all. Millie and her sister Annie tells of bondage ending in the 60s. Annie is still afraid today. She's afraid to talk about it. She was afraid that day because she thought they was going to kill her. And one day when CNN came to me and they wanted to talk to their father, who was 107 years old at that time. Well, he gave me his story. He talked about what he saw, what he went through. He called the names out. And one day while watching TV, he saw this white man on the television, and he thought the man was coming to get him because he shared his story with me. He went into the hospital, and the family banned me for 1 year because they didn't want to lose their father. They was afraid of he was going to have a heart attack. And it was then he said, no, I started talking to her, and I'm going to finish it. Arthur's story. This is May and her two brothers. I took them back to Gillsburg, Mississippi for the first time in 50 years. And if a picture can tell a story, the fright that was on all three of their faces, I couldn't understand that fright, but they knew if anybody passed down the road and saw them, what that could have meant for them. There's only one person that's still living, and that's the man with the dark shirt on. That is Arthur. I'm sorry that Arthur couldn't be here today due to health reasons, but this is in his words.
And we couldn't leave. You know, we was on those people's place I'm telling you about. So I don't know who owned all of them, but Alonzo Gard was the main man that
Arthur, well, his father talked about how his uncle had to dig his own grave. And when he dug that grave, he didn't know what he was digging it for. But they shot him because they wanted to have a relationship with his wife, and his wife said no that day. And once again, you don't tell a white man no. that letters would be written to other presidents asking them to free those that were still in slavery. Files from the Department of Justice, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the FBI files. The three presidents that was aware that slavery wasn't abolished: Calvin Coolidge, Warren Harding, and Franklin D. Roosevelt received letters asking that they abolish this new form of slavery. This letter that Calvin Coolidge wrote, this letter was written to Calvin Coolidge.
Did y'all hear that?
In 1927.
Hold on, listen.
That's his. He didn't know what he was digging it for. And Abraham Lincoln emancipated those. Thank you, David. That letters would be written to other presidents asking them to free those that were still in slavery. Files from the Department of Justice, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the FBI files. The three presidents that was aware that slavery wasn't abolished: Calvin Coolidge, Warren Harding, and Franklin D. Roosevelt received letters asking that they abolish this new form of slavery. This letter that Calvin Coolidge wrote, this letter was written to Calvin Coolidge in 1927. In Vicksburg, Mississippi, free people are being herded back to the plantation. The planters hold their laborers at gunpoint. I want to go back there. And when I scanned this document at the National Archives, I said, there's going to be people who do not believe this, so let me just scan it in its natural form. And even with what you see, some people still doubt it. And I begin to understand why May said what she said. Who's going to believe me? And I soon learned who was going to believe me when I spoke the truth. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1942. It brings me to mind my mother was born in 1940. So slavery was well and alive.
Message.
This letter came out of Hiding Valley, Mississippi. 300 to 500 Negroes bound in the shackles of slavery. The plantation is well guarded. Many men and women was killed on these plantations. Letters like this and documents like this made me realize, what am I looking at? Torture, abuse, murders, beatings. I felt, why wasn't this in the history book? Why didn't he talk about this? Why was this the best kept secret in America?
Message.
1944, again, Sunflower, Mississippi. William Henry Huff, the director for the Abolished Peonage Committee of America, he was writing, asking the president to end and to eradicate the new form of slavery. Would you please end it? Now, if slavery wasn't in existence, why would we still be asking three presidents to end slavery in America? The hometown, the childhood hometown of Kosciuszko, Mississippi. And this is one of the documents I'll never forget, because when I went to the courthouse and the records was in the attic, and they was told that they don't go in the attic because ghosts is in the attic. My opportunity. I'm going in that attic. I'm gonna make as much noise as I can. That's the ghost talking. I'm a free. And so the one thing I told the ghost, look, I just need you to show me the papers. Show me where it's at. I'm here to set you free. So I just started moving stuff around and making noise to really make them think that ghost was really in the attic. But what was in the attic was these stories that wanted to come out the attic, that they was hiding in the attic. You know, we always think about what's in the attic. Murders was in the attic. Records was in the attic that you couldn't access. This sheriff, he was arresting colored as well as white people on trumped up charges and placing heavy fines to work at the sawmill. And I wrote a letter to Oprah, can you do a segment on this? Never got any reply. But when I was in Zambia, I know I want to get out of there, because when I think about this part of the world, I think about Philadelphia, Mississippi, where those civil rights boys was killed. Once again, my hair stood up on my own, because when I met resistance, when I knew that I was in the courthouse, and I remember this man looking at me, and when he was looking at me, it was like saying, oh, I just wish that we can turn back the hands of time, because you won't be touching those records. So I took my beautiful black golden hand and I touched all the documents, because I knew that he couldn't do anything about it. But in his eyes it said, if I could, you weren't the lucky ones. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, 1943. When I think about Mississippi, most of us that know anything about Nina Simone, they say Mississippi, goddamn. And Mississippi right now is still trying to turn back the hands of time and walk them back. Come on. Jim Crow, Jane Crow, let's turn back the hands of time. We're back at it again. Now this is what another white man was saying about another white. He said, word has a reputation that any Negro born on his plantation must remain there for the rest of his life in 1943. So that means if a child was born in that plantation in 1943, in 1963, he still was owned by this man. $150 just to be born in the sharecroppers' floor or in the cotton field. That's what he was saying. You owe me, and you're not getting away. Before I close out, I met a man named Willie King, and he was one of the finest blues singers in the Mississippi Delta that I met. And he said, Antoinette, he said, they Muddy Waters arranged for me to perform on this plantation, but I had to meet them at the store. And when he met them at the store in 1970s now, they blindfolded him. And they picked him up at the store, and they took him to the plantation. And he said, when I got to the plantation, it was like back in the 1800s. Not only did those that was enslaved talk about it, but there's some who feel like what their ancestors and what their family members did is not right. And it's going to take people to stand up for what is right. Slavery is wrong in any form. It is wrong. And what was done to those like May and like her family, and she went to her grave, but she was free because she told her story.
Crazy. That's a crazy, great doc. You dig what I'm talking about? But that's crazy. The idea that you could keep a man in slavery. You know what I mean? And then, I think sometimes, how low was the overall nature of the colonizer in America to think of a type of slavery that had never been thought of before. Nobody did chattel quite like America. This is why they call it the peculiar institution. But it's it's a shock to me. Slavery in 1960s. But the lady explained how it could happen. Right? So with that 14th and 13th Amendment and Trump doing away with birthright citizenship, you dig what I'm saying? This is something you ain't got to worry about. Right? You don't come from nowhere. If anything, that's talking about those people who were enslaved. And regardless of what skin color, most of them pale skin, Slavics. It wasn't you. Man, it's different. You dig what I'm saying? Owaspy give you a way to stand in the middle. You dig what I'm talking about? To be like the creators, to be more not black, not white, not hot, not cold, more in the middle. So you can make the best decisions. You dig what I'm talking about? If you standing on, you ain't got to be on either side of the fence. You can stand on the fence and make the best decision you got to make from there. You dig what I'm saying? Just learn to be more moderate. Let things prove themselves out to you before you lean all the way into it. But no, I didn't get it that this lady was lying in any way. Nothing like that, man. But it's heartbreaking to understand that. During this time, you still got Tuskegee going on. You still got Planned Parenthood, eugenics, forced sterilization. Some of the biggest projects in the world would be built by the 1960s out there in New York and St. Louis and all this, where they got caught practicing, chemical warfare on the people. Literally. They got caught. So, you know what I mean? It get dark out here sometimes. You dig what I'm saying? But, with that being said, what's the word, man? What y'all got going on out there? You dig what I'm saying? Good little build, good little short little build. You dig what I'm saying? We could transition into something different, though. We can always transition. You know what I mean? I was in I think the book of S. Was it the book of S? No. Judgment. Oh yeah, Judgment 9. It's a good one. Oh, this thing going crazy. Let me go down number 9. My mouse been acting stupid. We're gonna go through this chapter 9. This is what I was reading on, meditating on today, and then we're gonna go and get up out of here, man. Let's read through this real quick. This is Chapter 9, Book of Judgment. Remember your Creator and the magnitude of his creations. Before him, you are only an atom. How are you talking about atoms in 1881? They didn't exist, sir. Keep that in mind. How are you even talking about something they haven't found yet in 1881? Y'all was talking about corpuscles and anyways. Before him, you are only an atom and as only one small creature. Nevertheless, a multitude of people make a nation with cities and hamlets. These are also graded by your God, accordingly to the ascendancy or declension of the whole. If the city then, if a city, then the grades of all the people shall be summed together in a scale of 100. And if a nation, then the grades of all the people of the cities and hamlets, along with the people of isolation, shall be summed together in a scale of 100. And if half the people are above the grade 50 and half below 50, the grade of that people shall be 50. That makes sense? Right? If 1/4 are above the grade 50, then the grade of that people shall be 25. Thus, the grades of a city and of a nation shall be on the basis of individual grades, just like we give to man. And the behavior of a city or a nation shall be graded in the same way like an individual. A certain nation built almshouses and asylums sufficient for the needy, but by its tyranny made an equal number of needy ones. That nation did not rise its grade for the good it had done. Another nation built no almshouses, but by its wholesome laws, there were none needed. That nation raised its grade manyfold, and yet another nation maintained a standing army in order to maintain itself. That nation stood in grade 1 only. Ugh. The place of this last nation in entrance into the S world shall be grade 1. Oh, America. which is the animal region, which is on the earth. This is your hell, your Hada, your Hades. Whoever dwells in such a land, though he has a good individual grade, shall suffer deduction in the ratio of the grades of different nations of the earth. But, this is why you gang. But whoever dwells in a nation high in grade shall be ascended in his own individual grade. Peace to the gang, man. Listen, it's a method to the madness. Jaja work it how he work it, but once you start to see it, it's a method to the madness. And as these grades are on earth, so have I made them in its heavens. In all cases, depending on what one does for the resurrection of others. Let me go back and read that. I'm going to go back to 15. But whoever dwells in a nation high in grade shall be ascended in his own individual grade. As these grades are on earth, so have I made them in its heavens. In all cases, depending on what one does for the resurrection of others. If a city, nation, or kingdom in heaven does to others in resurrection, then it shall be credited accordingly. But if there is no gain in the good that any of these do, they shall receive no grade. But if they increase in raising individual grades, then such cities and nations are rising in grade. Consider your nation, oh man. Compare one generation against another. And as the relative proportion of individual grades rise or fall, so shall you determine whether your nation is ascending or falling in grade. Ooh, y'all lucky. Number its paupers and criminals as to increase or decrease. Listen, the biggest number in the world in criminals, in jail people, and the largest number of homeless. But this the crazy part. This how blessed America is. There's roughly, they say, about 3.5 million documented homeless in the America, right? But I was doing some math some years ago and doing some studies. Back then, this is some years ago. Uh, there was roughly 3.5 million homeless, but there were roughly 18.6 million habitable and rehabable homes in the Americas. Hmm? Yeah. So add that in your grade. Where is your country? It do great goods, but it do great evil. It make paupers. It make criminals. Hmm? Do not consider what? Do not consider your country's wealth. Don't consider its ships or its armies. All this stuff is below the grade, or its great buildings. None of this give you bonus points. These are all together are only one grade. Huh? So what you got? Big tabernacles and don't matter. They're just buildings. Hmm? Kind of put it in context for you. These all together are only one grade and are of no value as to the spiritual grade of its people. For the strength and life of your nation depends on its spiritual grade. Hmm? As the backbone of America, right? And its spiritual backbone, you know this is true. Pursue this course, and you shall prophesy truly as to the growth or the downfall of a nation. Pursue this also with regard to the nations of the earth, and you shall determine the relative place of your own nation in the spirit world. Owaspy hit different. Owaspy just hit different. So it's not also telling you to judge yourself. It's telling you to judge all things around you, even your nation. Did y'all know it was a way to do that? You can perceive its fall or its advance. Know all this stuff happened on a timeline. That's where you need to tap in, man. Get back in with the creator game, man. Get your life back right with the ever-present creator, man. Listen, love, light, balance out there to everybody. You dig what I'm saying? You dig what I'll probably come back in just to tap in later. I want to talk about Trump and some of this these him kicking people out and what's going on with that. You dig what I'm saying? I also want to uh uh build a little bit on uh some of this Aboriginal history. You dig what I'm talking about? Get back into them. I've been, getting my studies together and up here on Michigan. You dig what I'm talking about? Because I don't want to talk about nobody else stuff, and I don't know my own stuff. You dig what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about nobody else if I don't know my own.
We fight as a single, impenetrable unit. That is the source of our strength.
Listen. I just need y'all to do something for me. You dig what I'm talking about? It's coming that time. You dig what I'm saying? Putting the Ethereum goggles back on. We're going to dip back up in this spaceship. You dig what I'm saying? Dip off, get some money, man. Early morning cooking. You dig what I'm saying? Just to get your life together. You dig what I'm saying? Get yourself together. Just to think on something higher than the regular. We'll come back probably in a little bit. Cook some little more. You dig what I'm saying? Get it popping. You dig what I'm saying? With no more further needing to be said. You dig what I'm talking about? All I need y'all to do is breathe in and let that light in. Because I'm Cosmo and I'm out.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feel it when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh, just that Japheth, that Chow Mein, that Papa Bull, that Tao Mein, since sun south in the Arc of Wayne, my brain moving like Tao Zane, so ass above, it's so below, that up and that down thing, this flow is atmospherian, I call that a ground game, see water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning, so how your God make a sun without vortexing current, see the pattern is ponic, I'm reaching out for my people, oh watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the ethers, and when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like the eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing Puerto. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sela. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door star. And the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar. Oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you making salat. Well, I'm a Israelite, I'ma make him at the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.
Shoo! Anetrak am set.
Anetrak unbet het.
Shoo! Anetrak am set.
Chrak ast.
Nuke ast. Shoo!
Nuke am set. Chrak ast.
Anetrak am set.
Nuke ast.
Shoo!
Anetrak unbet het.
Shoo!
Nuke. Shoo!
Create a gang gang. FOPE dis. For our people's ignorance. Salute Malachi Maccabee, Cosmon Cal, Bronze Yogi, Yare Ya. Create a gang gang. Peace to the goddesses. We gonna set the record straight. I know these clowns named folk, man, they a fucking joke. Naphtali tried to explain the Ark of Noah's boat. Malachi Maccabee exposed the whole shit as a hoax. She had the nerve to say the earth is 6,000 years old. And tried to use Gobekli Tepe for the Ark of Noah. But what you ought to know, your sources got burned like an arsenal. So pack it up and throw them scripts in the trash. Your God gets stoned to death for prophecies not coming to pass. Like America's supposed to get hit with the nuclear blast. 24 years later, we look back at you niggas and laugh. I should pick rocks and stone you niggas myself. Throw you in a lake of fire, watch your skin start to melt. Shawshan be the first to get blamed. When I heard the shots, look, left his people and ran. Damn. K. Judah, you fail to be a shooter. You not a teacher, you a tutor, hiding behind computers. Naphtali, you not ready for Mali. He exposed to go for wood from the Ark, come out of Cali. Long Beach, Naphtali better run a retreat. Your champion looking bad on these YouTube streets. When I waving the white flag as a sign of defeat. Bow down like Jehu and kiss the boot on my feet, nigga. Your Messiah can't save shit. Where was the Messiah when we was chained to them slave ships? Praying to a God in return ain't say shit. The God of war got you niggas stuck in a slave pit. Talking about that's prophecy. More like propaganda from a false god democracy. FOP for our people's edification. You not edifying, but lying to the Israelite nation. Think you following God when you following Satan. Stiff-necked and stubborn like them goddamn Jamaicans. Come against Creator, gang, your doctrine's dying. When Mally cut Naphtali, she almost started crying. She ran to her husband and screamed, baby, I'm trying. That's what happens when you put a pussycat against a lion. Yeah, Creator gang gang is undefeated. FOP is washed up. Y'all put y'all goddess on the front line and she got her head blown off. Creator gang gang is undefeated. We out of here.
At our rescue, we are on a mission to end sex trafficking and child exploitation
while empowering survivors to reclaim their lives.
All right, question for Ease. Would you kill your child, your son, if your God told you to?
You said if the Most High told me to?
Yeah.
Or yeah, man, the Most High said do it, then that's what it is. Yeah, man, the Most High said do it, then that's what it is.
Yeah, man, the Most High said do it, then that's what it is.
A 22-year-old woman told hotel workers in Holmes County that she had been directed by God. To go on a shooting spree about the solar eclipse, and that not long after she left the hotel in a purple Dodge Challenger driving to the interstate, traveling west, shooting into two cars. One of the drivers was shot in the neck, the other grazed in his arm.
If your God came to you right now, tonight, in pomp and glory, shining, and he commanded the death of your child, would you sacrifice your child?
If the Most High is going to do it, of course. If the Most High is going to do it, of course.
If the Most High is going to do it, of course.
Peter Lucas Moses refers to himself as a radical religious person who is with the Black Hebrews. And he just pleaded guilty to killing a four-year-old and a woman that he was living with. He killed the 4-year-old because he thought he was gay.
Moses believed 4-year-old Higginbotham was homosexual. Klein says Moses took Higginbotham to the garage, played the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew, and shot him. If
God came to you and told you to sacrifice your kid, would you sacrifice your kid?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
God is called a terrible, demon-like power. God is called a terrible, demon-like power. God is called the terrible, demon-like power. So Napa means empty, you could say, or open. Shita means demon. or demon-like or terrible. Shada means demon or demon-like or terrible. Shada means demon or demon-like or terrible.
According to the criminal complaint, Polite told investigators God told him to shoot Pastor Germany. God told him to shoot Pastor Germany.
God told him to shoot Pastor Germany.
And he wanted to go to jail to clear his mind.
Would you kill your child or your grandchild if God told you to?
Oh, man.
So that's a yes?
Yeah, it's a yes. It's a yes.
It's a yes.
But I think that it would be a test. I don't think the Lord would actually tell you to do it. I think it would just be a test because we can see.
You'd be willing to go through with it?
I'll go through any trial the Lord puts me through.
Leader Yahweh Ben Yahweh, the self-proclaimed Son of God, one day in 1981, her North Dade home became a house of death. Banks and her husband, Carlton Carey, had just returned from talking with police about another Yahweh member who had been decapitated. Today, Yahweh Ben Yahweh is charged in her attempted murder and the death of her husband. October 1986, Yahweh's take over an Opalaka apartment building. Two residents who were ordered to leave publicly complained. That night, both were shot to death.
Wow! Judah, do you hear me? If the Most High Yahweh tells you to kill your family, would you do it? Yes or no?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
Oh, Judah, no.
Damn.
Judah didn't mean that, y'all.
If the Most High say, put your family down, would you do it for the Most High?
By faith, yes. By faith, yes.
By faith, yes.
But he's going to tell me not to do it, just like he did Abraham. We have a story like that already. Next.
The moral law is that if a child was to be rebellious, towards their parents, they was to be taken down and stoned to death because of that. You see what I'm saying?
Would you do that? Would you do that if your God came back to you today in glory and said, I want you to stone your son if he get rebellious? Would you? Would you do it?
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, I would.
Wow.
The Most High was to come to you and ask you to off your loved ones.
Would you do it,
brother?
If I had made the mistake, if I didn't have ancestors inside of me and I made the mistake to make babies with outside nations, and then I heard the download from my ancestors saying that you need to put them away, yes, I will put them away. Yes, I will put them away.
Yes, I will put them away.
Okay, Judah Nazareth, if the Most High come to you and say, I want you to put down your family, I have a better movement for you that I need you to do, would you do it?
They're out of here. They're out of here.
They're out of here.
Creator Gang is undefeated. I keep it real, pack to steal if whoever want it. Clap, Judah be running laps when he get confronted. Got Devil Cosmon and knock you off of 500. They hit the club, roll up a Judah dub, forever blunted. Contemplating on who we gonna take out next. Got Cosmon, Cal, Malachi, Mac can be the best. The 4 horsemen who understand the business. Contract killers won't hesitate to kill a witness. 21 bodies executed on my hit list. JJ trying to watch me, trying to take pictures. Yara working with woods and paint a bunch of snitches. Peer pressure separate the real from the bitches. Niggas be gang gang until you start to bang bang. Let a nigga brains hang on everybody like dang. You thought it couldn't happen. Yara wanted smoke, 9/11 Manhattan. Bullets in his breastplate, both lungs collapsing. Hands reaching in the air for the air he grasping. The flyer was made, Sila Shalom first captain. But the captain ran away, just like if nothing happened. I'm a certified killer. Peel a nigga, cut him open and feed him his own liver. Graphic is how I paint the picture. Shoot shots like a pitcher. Split JJ like a swisher. Cut the head off for the lion's den and watch the rest of the body quiver. Core shots I deliver when it's crunch time on the trigger. Got 2 pair of eagles fly like seagulls when it's time. I scoot out, shoot out. Air out Yara every time. Standing behind enemy lines, killing my enemies every time. Defend the faith like Muslim Sunni soldiers at a shrine. I facilitate thoughts beyond the thoughts of mankind. Creative gang is in the prime while you niggas get left behind. Creative gang is undefeated. Salute, Daryl Cosma, Cosma Cal, Malachi Maccabee, and the whole Creative gang. Nigga, we outside with it. All that huffing and puffing don't mean nothing. You step in the dojo.
Peace to the Creative Gang and all the righteous and Nirvanian goddesses out there, man. For all y'all who didn't know, gang is an acronym for God and Nirvanian goddesses. But with that being said, love, light, and cosmon out there to everybody, man. Peace.